What's up, guys? It's me, Tiff, and I'm in New York City watching Sam Bankman-Fried's criminal trial in person, and I've been posting updates here on YouTube, Twitter, Substack, etc. So if you want to follow along, feel free to. If not, it's fine. Today, we watched the rest of Sam Bankman-Fried's cross-examination and then moved into his redirect, which is basically Sam's lawyers sort of throwing him softball questions so that he can explain his side of the story more. If you haven't watched yesterday's video yet, I would highly recommend doing so because yesterday I covered the beginning of Sam's cross-examination, and today is sort of a continuation of that. And overall, high level, I would say that Sam really reeled in the sassiness today. In my opinion, he was notably less agitated and hostile towards the prosecutor, but he did carry on being quite evasive and cagey, and apparently still doesn't remember quite a bit about FTX. I was in the main courtroom today, so I'll just point out a few things I noticed in the courtroom. I have noticed throughout Sam's testimony that his eyes dart back and forth pretty quickly between whoever's asking him questions and the jury, so he's constantly checking to see how the jury is responding to everything he says, which is totally understandable. It's obviously the jury's perception that really matters here. It's just something that I noticed way more with Sam than anyone else that's taken the stand so far. And in my opinion, not a fact, just the effect it's had on me is that it makes him look a little bit shifty. Just watching someone's eyes constantly dart back and forth kind of makes them look a little sketch. I'm not saying that means he's lying. I'm just saying that that is the effect it has had on me when watching him. And I just didn't notice Caroline Ellison, Gary Wang, or Nishad Singh really doing that. I also noticed that Barbara Fried, Sam's mom, who is not my biggest fan, was not in the courtroom today. I don't want to jump to conclusions as to why that is. I will say that she's usually in the courtroom, but I just wrote that in my notes as well. I also noticed that Joe Bankman, Sam's dad, who usually sits in the front rows of the friends and family section, was sitting in the very back today. And again, I don't really know why that is, but it is something that I noted. Before we dive back into Sam Bankman-Fried's court drama, I've got a tool that's been an absolute game changer for me. Given what I've been doing in the crypto world and in the world of identity, you know I need top-tier privacy. Meet Cloaked, available at courtouse.app. Do you ever wish you could generate an instant secure identity for those moments when you just don't want to hand out your personal information in real life or online? Well, with Cloaked, you can. With Cloaked, you can generate secure identities with working legit phone numbers, emails, payment methods, and more via their app or browser extension. Whether you're joining a new crypto exchange, giving out your phone number on a night out, or just chatting with your bank, Cloaked's got your back. The texts, calls, and messages sent to those generated contacts can all get routed to your personal phone number or email address. Or you can choose to mute them entirely and store those communications securely in your Cloaked dashboard. Your real details stay secret and protected always. Whether you're someone always at the heart of the latest financial fiasco, or you want to protect your privacy in this world of data-driven AI, you'll find Cloaked indispensable. The crypto world is wild, but with Cloaked, you can be in it and protect yourself from prying eyes. For my incredible viewers, use the code Tiffany for an exclusive discount. With Cloaked, take control, keep your personal stuff personal, protect your identity, and let Cloaked handle the rest. So thank you to Cloaked, and back to the video. I haven't had a negative interaction with Sam's dad. He actually seems like a nice guy. He's usually smiling. He looks pretty jovial and friendly. Just notes. Additionally, I did notice a couple of jury members, but I think they were alternates because they were sitting in the back row of the jurors, kind of doze off during Sam's cross-examination and redirect, but just briefly. Also noticed a couple of eye rolls here and there. I will say overall, they're not overly expressive. I'm never seeing them shaking their head or being like, fuck this guy. But yeah, you know, just little body language things. But anyway, let's get into the actual cross-examination and redirect. In case you don't remember, back when FTX initially halted withdrawals, they first reopened withdrawals to customers in the Bahamas. So in today's cross-examination, prosecutor Danielle Sassoon kicked off by sort of making Sam seem a little too close to the Bahamian government and their prime minister. She pointed out that Sam Bankman-Fried apparently told the Bahamas prime minister that he'd help to repay Bahamian national debt, to which Sam responded, "I don't remember that." The prosecutor also pointed out that Sam Bankman-Fried apparently gave the Bahamas Prime Minister floor-side seats at the Miami Heat Arena, to which again Sam Bankman-Fried responded, "I don't remember that." And prosecutor Danielle Sassoon proceeded to pull up a government exhibit and say, Well, here's a message where you say he's in FTX's courtside seats with his wife. So again, this just set the tone for how evasive Sam would be today. We then moved our focus to North Dimension. As a reminder, back in the early days of FTX and Alameda, FTX initially struggled to get bank accounts because they were explicitly affiliated with crypto, while Alameda Research already had bank accounts. So an entity called North Dimension was created, and FTX customers were instructed to wire money to North Dimension in order to trade on FTX, and that money went straight to Alameda Research bank accounts. Sam claims that this was not his idea, but regardless, Danielle Sassoon asked Sam if he knew that customer deposits were being directed to North Dimension, and Sam says, "I became aware of it at some point." She then pulls up a screenshot of FTX's wiring instructions, which tell customers to wire money to North Dimension, but nowhere on the screenshot does it say that they're wiring money to Alameda Research. Sassoon points out, "Nowhere does it say Alameda here, right?" And Sam agrees it does not. Sam admits that he did not disclose that Alameda was spending out of North Dimension accounts, but claims that he thought it was permissible. Danielle Sassoon asked, "Prior to September, you knew Alameda was spending the FTX customer deposits, correct?" And Sam responds he knew they were being treated as a liability to FTX, and he knew they'd show up as a borrow, but he does admit that he did not tell employees, "Don't spend the FTX customer deposits." Danielle Sassoon points out that at the time North Dimension was incorporated, Caroline Ellison was not yet even CEO. So ultimately, North Dimension was created under Sam's leadership and ultimately became the means through which billions of dollars of FTX customer deposits ended up at Alameda Research, and ultimately ended up being spent on repaying loans and making liquid venture investments and real estate and political donations, etc. Sam admits that they failed to implement measures to segregate FTX customer funds from Alameda's funds, and Sam says that the settlement team is the one who handled the bank accounts. So this brings Danielle Sassoon to a new line of questioning. Danielle Sassoon pulled up a list of everyone on the settlement team. Sam says he recognizes some of the names, and Danielle Sassoon asks, were they involved with making trading decisions? To which Sam responds that he doesn't remember knowing anything about particular employees. Danielle Sassoon asks, so your testimony is that some unknown people spent $8 billion without your knowledge? And Sam says, I don't think that's my testimony. She asks, did you fire anyone for spending $8 billion of customer deposits? To which Sam says, I don't believe so. I don't remember the exact timeline of things. I don't believe I did while I was CEO. Classic Sam. Danielle Sassoon points out that $8 billion of fiat had been sent, and Sam says that this was news to him at the time. He said he had conversations with Alameda's leadership and said that he asked how it had happened. Again, completely shirking responsibility and sort of implicitly blaming Caroline Ellison, who was at the time Alameda's leadership. The prosecutor then cornered Sam into owning up to some of his investment decisions. She points out, do you see K5, $600 million? That's not a margin trade, right? And Sam says it is not. She points to $500 million to Anthropic. That's not a margin trade on FTX, right? Sam agrees, no, it is not. She says, these were your decisions, right? And Sam says, no, but I may have authorized them. He proceeds to get grilled and admits that K5 and Anthropic and the $35 million Bahamas apartment were all his decisions. The prosecutor then zooms into the summer of 2022 when a bug was discovered which revealed that Alameda Research owed about $8 billion to FTX customers. Sam claims that he overheard some conversations about the bug and the liability, but that he was busy and distracted. He says that he began to ask questions about the bug, but then claims that his employees told him to stop asking questions because they are busy looking into it, which Danielle Sassoon seemed to not buy at all, and she said, your supervisees asked you to stop asking questions? To which Sam said yes, and that he agreed with them, and apparently he just trusted that they were on it. Danielle Sassoon pointed out that Adam Yedidia testified that he fixed the bug and told Sam that they owed $8 billion, to which Sam responded, I don't remember him saying it that way. And Judge Lewis Kaplan was getting notably fed up with Sam and said, "Look, Mr. Bankman-Fried, did he tell you in words or in substance after the bug was fixed that $8 billion was still owed?" And Sam admits that eventually, yes, Adam told him about the $8 billion. But he claims that the first concrete conversations about this were much later in October 2022, and that he only understood bits and pieces about the liability before then. Danielle Sassoon asked if it was fair to say that Sam was not transparent to customers about the risk posed by Alameda's spending of customer funds. To which Sam responded, "To that phrasing of the question, I do not agree." Not gonna lie, Sam is just kind of a difficult person to take notes on because I'd begin writing the question and then begin writing his answer, but he would ultimately just not actually answer the question. So I ultimately ended up writing, "Nope, he weaseled out of that one, and just sort of checked off everything he weaseled out of, with answers like, "I do not recall, I don't specifically remember that," etc. So I think I can sort of skip through a lot of this and just try to find the things that he did admit to. Danielle Sassoon did get Sam to admit that FTT was sort of an illiquid token. I do have in my notes that he admitted that he could not sell all of their FTT at once. I think this is getting a little repetitive though, because overall, Sam did reel back his attitude, but he remained just as evasive as ever, and apparently does not remember or does not recall pretty much everything. So let's move on to the redirect. Sam got to get a few of his points in. Obviously, the prosecution has pointed out time and time again that they don't feel that Sam was being particularly transparent. In his redirect, Sam got to point out that FTX was a private company, so no, he did not have to make disclosures. He also got to explain why he believed that using customer deposits was technically a margin trade. If a customer on FTX could have a negative balance in an account, they did so by withdrawing. So if a customer wanted to return a loan, nothing was stopping them from doing so. Yesterday, we talked about how Sam seemed to not remember any statements he made to journalists during post-collapse interviews, but today he got to sort of address that. Sam pointed out that he spoke to 50 or so journalists after the collapse, so basically got to say, "No, I do not remember every single statement I made to all of those journalists in all of those interviews," which is, I guess, to some degree valid. I've recently been interviewed for a few articles, and sometimes I'll read it later and be like, "Oh, I don't remember saying that." But I still think he was being evasive and not completely honest though. He also got to address the whole private jet thing because apparently Sam Bankman-Fried spent $15 million in total flying on private jets. Sam explained that he used private jets because he lived in the Bahamas, and apparently it made sense logistically because it was difficult to travel to places like DC from the Bahamas because there were very few direct flights and a lot of them were quite unreliable. Which could be true. Honestly, as someone who is a multi-billionaire, I wasn't actually upset at the fact that he was flying on private jets. I was more upset at him claiming not to have remembered flying on one to the Super Bowl, because it just added to the whole "I apparently remember nothing from my time at FTX" thing that he had going on yesterday and today. He also got to address the 8-tab balance sheet that Caroline Ellison sent him. Back in the summer of 2022, Caroline Ellison apparently sent Sam a balance sheet. She claims that Sam told her to think of alternative ways to present the same information to essentially disguise the bad things, like the billions of dollars of FTX customer funds that Alameda Research was borrowing. So Caroline claimed she created a spreadsheet with 8 different balance sheets in separate tabs and sent that to Sam, and that Sam ultimately chose which one looked best and which to send to lenders. Sam, in his testimony, has disputed this and claimed that he only viewed one of these 8 balance sheets, even though there is Google metadata showing that he did indeed open that document with 8 different balance sheets. Sam, however, argued that it was typical for Caroline to send him spreadsheets with multiple tabs, and said that those additional tabs often just showed her underlying calculations. Anyway, in sum, I think I left today thinking that it went slightly better for Sam than yesterday, because yesterday he was just getting absolutely hammered by Danielle Sassoon, but today he had his redirect. And I actually think Sam has done pretty well in his direct or redirect parts of his testimony, where he's just basically answering softball questions that are pre-rehearsed with his lawyer, and basically gets to tell his side of the story. Because at the end of the day, Sam doesn't need to convince the jury that he is completely innocent. He basically just needs one juror to think that there is some reasonable doubt that he intended to commit these crimes. So Sam getting the opportunity to present a counter-narrative to the government's narrative has actually, at this point, in my opinion, my non-lawyer opinion, become his only shot at anyone in the jury potentially thinking there's some doubt that he's guilty. I still personally think the odds are not in Sam's favor, and I also think he did not look look good during the cross-examination, but I think he did decently well in the direct and in the redirect. Anyway, tomorrow we have closing statements and I will be back in court bright and early, and I'll be sharing updates here on YouTube, on Twitter, on Substack, etc. So if you'd like to follow along, feel free to. If not, it's fine. But I love you all so very much, and I will talk to you all very, very soon. Bye!